Good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar, An Introduction to Power BI, brought to you by Cargas Systems. Today's speakers are Pat Bostic and John Clemens. We encourage you to use the questions pane on your webinar control panel to post questions that you have for the presenters during the webinar. Questions will be reviewed and answered at the end of the presentation. Today's webinar will also be recorded and posted on the cargas.com website. Look for that post to be up shortly. With that, I'm going to pass things over to Pat to get started with today's webinar. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Harmony, and good morning, everyone. Cargas customers, Cargas prospects, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Power BI. I hope you're going to find this introduction to Power BI to be informative. So for the next 30 to 45 minutes, we're going to go through an introduction to Power BI. There's going to be some slides that we go through to kind of set the stage. And I will go into the actual Power BI. We'll do a brief demo as well with a real life example. And then at the end, as Harmony said, we will address any questions that come up. If we can answer them on the call, we will. If we don't have the answer, we'll get back to you on that. At the end of the presentation, there's going to be a survey that we'll send out with a discount for a Power BI package that Tim Krauser will talk about at the end of the presentation. So with that said, let me get going here. So my name is Pat Bostic. I'm a solution strategist with Cargas on our business solutions team. And our business solution team is, we do CRM, we do ERP, and in this case, we do Great Plains. We also do Business Central as the Microsoft Dynamics 365 applications. But today we're going to talk about Power BI, which is business intelligence for everyone. And I'm just going to put this little meme up here because I thought it was appropriate, because we hear all the time about people who talk about reporting, what they want in reporting, how it needs to work for them, how it needs to be able to connect and bring everything together. And Power BI is a great answer for that. And as we get into start the presentation here with the PowerPoint, it's going to be just a few slides. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but I think this is pretty appropriate because it kind of defines what Power BI is. And when you hear the term Power BI, for those who aren't aware of it, Power BI is part of Microsoft's Power Platform. So there's different components to the Power Platform. Power BI, certainly one of those, but there's a couple others as well that are extremely important, and they all work together. There's Power Automate, which previously was known as Flow, and so that's a workflow engine within the Power Platform. And then there's Power Apps, which is a way to be able to create and distribute your own mobile apps without being a developer. So it's extremely robust. And we're looking at this initial presentation here for Power BI as really being part of a series that, as we get into 2020, we're going to get into other areas of the Power Platform for presentations as well. So today with Power BI, Power BI at its core is a cloud-based business analytics service that really enables anyone to visualize and analyze data with greater speed, efficiency, and understanding of your data. And it's going to be able to connect to a broad range of live data sources through dashboards that you'll create, interactive reports, and really be able to develop and deliver compelling visualizations that bring data to life. And you're going to hear the term visualizations a couple times or a few times throughout the presentation, and I'll try to explain a little bit later exactly what that means by visualization. But when we look at these five columns here, Microsoft Power BI platform has emerged over the last several years as being the leader, and that's proven out here by the Gartner Magic Quadrant that shows Microsoft to the top right, where everyone aspires to get to, but not everyone can make it there. Microsoft's grown up to that point throughout the years, and it's just a really good conviction of where Microsoft has come with the whole business intelligence platform. And also interesting to note, not only are they in the top right of the leaders category, but if you look down on beneath that, they are also the top in the visionary status as well, which is great news for consumers of the Microsoft Business Intelligence platform. Second column here talks about beginning the visualization of your data by yourself within minutes of signing in. And what that really means is being able to bring multiple connectors of data from the most popular data sources that might be out there. And that could be Excel as a data source. It could be SQL, could be anything in Azure. It might be Oracle, it might be SAP, it could be Great Plains, it could be Business Central or Salesforce or Dynamics CRM as examples of connectors that are out there and already built for you to bring in your data. There's also content packs that Microsoft publishes in Power BI. They give you pre-built solutions, and that would include dashboards, reports, and even data modeling out of the box for SaaS services that Microsoft has built or that your own organization has built. So it's really meant to get you up and running quickly for the things that matter. And again, that's going to be the dashboards and the reports, et cetera. And there's new connectors and content packs that are being published, seems like almost every week from Microsoft or its partners. So once you're into the Power BI service, you'll be aware and be able to check those out. The middle column here, excuse me, about seeing your data update in real time. You know, the live 360-degree view of your business is important for everyone. And really what this allows you to do is see your data updated as you're connecting Power BI to your data source. And it's real time on the web or on your devices. And by your devices, I mean it could be your laptop, it could be your tablet, it could be a mobile phone. Anything like that is going to be a provider of the service to you as an individual from Power BI. The user experience is also extremely important, and again, with the very rich mix of visuals that Microsoft has in Power BI and more being added all the time, you can create a dashboard or report that looks exactly the way you want. There's custom visuals that you can import into your Power BI. They're created by the community, Power BI community, which you'll have access to as well. And also partners have created custom visuals that you can import into Power BI and incorporate into your reports. The UI also extends to the actual use of the product too, because once you create a dashboard, you're going to have the ability to be able to use natural language query to go in and interrogate your data. So while you're on a dashboard, and let's say you've got Cortana on your laptop activated, and you can talk to your laptop with Cortana, you might want to say, show me gross margin by product and category as a pie chart. And that quickly, Power BI has built a corresponding report for you based on what you either typed in or what you said. And we'll get into a little example of that as we get into the actual demo. And then finally, the platform for Power BI integrates with your existing O365 account, Azure, or any other third parties. It's really a complete end-to-end platform for business intelligence. And you can take and embed the visuals that you've created, such as a dashboard or a report, into your favorite apps that you're using. And I'll show you an example of that as we get near the end of the demo, where I actually have Power BI embedded in the Business Central role page, then the same thing you can do with CRM, you could do it with Great Plains and things like that. It's meant to integrate directly into these apps. So the big thing about Power BI is you want to be able to get up and going quickly. And the important part of being able to enable that in Power BI is the multitude of the data connectors that I kind of talked about on the first slide. And again, whether that data you want to use is Excel or a Microsoft SQL Server database in Azure or Oracle, or even a service like Facebook or MailChimp or something like that, there's a connector for that. And so I know that, you know, I've loved, there's out-of-the-box connectors for Dynamics CRM, for Business Central. It's native, Dynamics GP is all there. This is just a couple of examples of what some of those services might be that you can connect to data. Now, at the heart of Power BI is the self-service business analytics. And this is where I'm going to talk more about a visualization. So, excuse me, what you're seeing on the screen here are what we would term as a visualization, whether it's a matrix of data or a pie chart or a map with data. That's considered a visualization. And it's a representation of data, like a chart or map or interesting things that you want to create to represent your data visually. So Power BI has all sorts of visualization types that are out of the box, and more are coming all the time. So this just shows a little bit of the collection of different visualizations that were created in the Power BI service. Now, dashboards and reports are going to be things that are going to be extremely common that you'll be working with. And with updates to Power BI, customers can now see all their data through a single pane of glass. And when you've got that data connected in Power BI, your possibilities are really endless on what you want to do. So things like live dashboards, where you're seeing the data on the dashboard moving in conjunction with the data, with what's happening to the data in your business system, showing those visualizations and KPIs. And again, that data can reside on-premises, or in the cloud. But really what it's there to do is give you that consolidated view across the business, regardless of where your data is going to reside. Simplifying how you interact with data, natural language query that we talked about. It's built right into the dashboards, and I think you can see up here. It's a little bit tough on the screen, but we'll see it in the demo where it says "Ask a question," and we're going to show you how that works. But being able to type in a question about your data and start to see immediate results based on what you're typing in and how that data is being brought back and visualized to you is really one of the core components of Power BI. And then you can once you get a visualization built, you can drill through that data in the dashboard to the underlying reports and even see the data that's making up the numbers that you're seeing on the report. So you can see the actual data transactions that are there that are making that happen for you. Now, today, like everything else, everything is and has to be mobile capable. And so it's no different with Power BI, because we're going to give you the ability, or Microsoft is giving you the ability to be able to be connected from any device at any time. So, excuse me, the mobile apps are designed to let people create, share, and consume their business insights in a way that serves them or their role in the most effective way. These apps also allow users to receive alerts to important changes or changing conditions of their data, and you can share and collaborate with colleagues so they can take immediate action from any device based on those alerts. And then the last slide here for this is the user experience. And with any product that Microsoft puts together, user experience is top of mind for Microsoft because it has to be intuitive and easy to use, or people are not going to they're not going to accept or adopt that. And that spans the entire realm of Microsoft products, from Office to things like even the ERP. Countless hours are spent in interviewing customers on how things need to look for a user to be able to really adopt. And so Microsoft's done a fantastic job of that. The things like we talked about with the natural language query, the integration with Cortana that allows Power BI Cortana to access your business data. And you can even use Cortana Intelligence in Azure to help you let Cortana Intelligence interrogate your data and bring things back to you that you might not have even thought of. So that could be in the term of what we call quick insights. The quick insights can interrogate in the cloud with machine learning your data and come back with results that help you even gain greater visibility into your business. The quick insights can run on a data set, or they can run on individual reports, and even be able to let you pin the results to dashboards that you'll be creating. And as far as some of the visualizations that are there, there's a ton of them that are out of the box. But again, customers and the developer community are creating new visualizations all the time for you to be able to bring in and use in your reporting. So with that, I'm going to exit PowerPoint here, and we're going to get into a brief demonstration of Power BI. So let's go into Power BI. Assuming you're all seeing my screen with the Power BI home. So what we're going to go through here today is going to be a fairly high-level introductory demo of some of the features within Power BI. So what I've got up here, I'm into Power BI. It's a service that I've got in my, if you can see, it's one of my Office 365 apps that if I come down here and I scroll down, I can see all the things that I'm signed up for, and there's Power BI as one of the service components. So while I'm in here and I'm at the home page, some certain things pop out to me, like these are certain reports or dashboard tiles that I've accessed recently. As I scroll down, I've got reports that I've pegged as favorites so that they're always going to show, or they show up over here on the favorites tab. I can scroll down and see things that I've hit recently and different reports and maybe even workspaces that I've hit, or some recommended apps that are there for me to come in and, like the Business Central app that I use to connect with Business Central is right there as something that I may want to use. And then obviously there's even embedded visuals and videos here to kind of take you through and help you understand how to best use Power BI. So that's the home screen. One of the places that I personally like to go is to my workspace. And what my workspace here has done is given me a concise list of all the dashboards that I have, and we're going to take a look at one of the dashboards that are there. Any of the reports that I've created or have had generated on my behalf of my data. So I've got several here. Some coming right from within my ERP, some that I've created on my own, maybe for customers, and even some that might come as part of a content pack that I can download and utilize and even connect to my own business data. So they're the reports. I could have workbooks, and I've got one here for a customer profitability example, and then the data sets. So the data sets are going to be, could be your ERP, it could be Great Plains, could be Business Central, could be CRM, could be an Excel spreadsheet. And just to be open and honest, the performance analysis report we're going to look at today is something that I used and built an Excel spreadsheet as a database and uploaded to Power BI for use in creating the report and the dashboards that you're going to see here today. So, back to my workspace here. I'm going to start off with picking out a report here. Let's go to my report tab. And before I even get in and show you the report, some of the things that I can do here. So here I can take a look at this report that we're going to be concentrating on today. I can see the usage metrics, so things like who's accessed the report, how many times have they looked at it, how long have they spent looking at each of the different elements of the report. I can share it, excuse me, with individuals, with other people in my organization or outside my organization. I can take the data that's in the report and download it to Excel for analytics. One thing I can do here is I can take a look at quick insights. And I'm going to come back to this in just a second because it'll make a lot more sense on what quick insights are. And it's going to be using the power of Azure and machine learning to interrogate my data. But before I do that, I want to show you an example of what this K question mark performance analysis report that I put together actually looks like, because the quick insights will make a lot more sense when you see some of the content of the data. So here I put together a report with a tab called Sales Analysis. And as I hover over the report, you can see I've got sales analysis by business unit, product category, product subcategory. There's a little bar chart here, sales by customer group, a little heat map for the different product categories, and then a forecast of sales and customer and cost by date. And you can see on any of these things that I'm hovering over, you can see how I get immediate information like my forecast amount is 7 million, my sales are 6.3, and my cost is 2.9. As with anything in Microsoft Power BI, I have the ability to be able to go in and show the data, or even come in and analyze the data. So maybe I want to explain why that increase happened on that chart. So I right-click and I hit Analyze this data. And it comes back and it tells me that 37.8% increase in forecast between 617 and 624 was due to the fact that there was an increase among the state that was offsetting the decrease of other states. And the contribution made by Pennsylvania and New Jersey changed the most, which allowed that to happen. So not only do I have the data showing on a report, but I can analyze that even further using the power of machine learning and Azure with that. Going back to the original report, I can always come into the report and I can right-click on any of the pieces here. And so, for instance, I right-clicked on the base station, and I can drill up, I can drill down into other subcategories there. I can always take it back to the top. I can right-click on a category and see the records that are making up the dollar amount that you see. So these are actually records from the database that are making up the dollar amount in that piece of the pie chart that you saw there. And of course, with anything that, being able to filter based on that data. So I can filter on any of this data by channel, by currency, by customer account. And here's all the customers that I've got. And I can drill and bring down and subset this list just to one single customer by one. So you can see that's live data in there that's happening with Power BI. So let's go back to the report. I'm going to show you a couple of the other pages that are on here. So these are some visualizations, the pie chart, the columns, the heat map, the chart here. But if I go into like sales by geography, that piece of the report. Now it's a map visual that I can certainly right click and drill down into and get into the actual how many sales that I make in Pennsylvania, or what city in Pennsylvania is selling the most. So a map is an example of a visualization. I put in a gross margin analysis that kind of shows how my gross margin has changed over time. Excuse me. And the beauty about this is time phased. So here it's showing me December 2018, but if I click down here on the play, it's actually a video that's recorded exactly how my cost and margin with product has changed over time. So, and again, example of another visualization. And a visualization wouldn't be a visualization without actually like having some pictures in there. So here's one that breaks down sales and forecast by product with the image of the product in there. And of course, I've got the ability to be able to slice and dice this data with, maybe I just want to look at one product category. I can do that, and you can see how when I select one, how the data and the images change. And then there's a sales trend, again, kind of the graph with forecast and sales by invoice date. But again, any point in this, I can analyze that data further. I can show the data that makes it up, and I can come in and I can say, how do I want to slice and dice the data by product category or by product, or even by date, or by customer. So I'm looking at one customer here, but maybe I want to look at them all, and I can certainly do that as well. So then the last tab is another example of a visual that you can do. So I put some things in where you can have, some metrics and that sort of thing. So if I click 2018, I can see what my total order volume was, my EBITDA for 2018, and then it's just a quick graphs of the gross margin, my cost of like current ratio, my quick ratio, different accounting things I can put in there. These are all examples of visualizations. Now that you've got to see the actual report, I want to go back to my workspace because I want to explain what intelligent insights are. So I'm going to go to my report tab here. I'm going to find my favorite report, the performance analysis. And I'm going to click on the light bulb. And so once I click on that quick insights bulb, it's going out to Azure using machine learning, and it's going to come back and give me information about my data that I have in that report. And it's going to be information that I probably don't have in the report right now, but once I take a look at those insights and take a look at that, we'll see what it comes out with. There are things that I might really want to use. So here's a count by state of the invoices. Here's one for the average of base cost and average of sales price over time. There's one for a average of base cost by month and customer segment. So these are things I don't have in the report, but if I really like them, I can say, you know what, I like that. I'm going to click the little push pin, and I'm going to say, I want to add this tile to my dashboard. So I'm going to say, I'm going to pin it to an existing dashboard. And now when I go back to my workspace and I go into my dashboard for the question mark, you'll see here as I scroll down the dashboard, there's the count by region that I just generated with a quick insight. And now that's available for me inside my dashboard. Okay. And again, all the things that you have in the dashboard, this is real-time information. It's coming from the report, but everything's linked. And that whole 360 live view of data becomes real here with this. And of course, now I've got the ability to be able to come in and ask a question about my data. So this goes back to what we talked about with the natural language query. And so you might say, well, what does that really mean? Now, I don't have Cortana turned on my laptop, but I'm just going to come up here and I'm actually going to, I'm going to type in a question. So here it says, ask a question about your data. So I want to see sales by product and category. So I'm going to start keying in sales by product and category. And you can see here, as I type in the question or as I would say it to a Cortana, it's starting to take what I'm putting in and building out something that a visual for me to be able to use. In this case, it's this visual here, but maybe I want to see it as a table, a matrix, a line chart, or maybe as a stacked bar chart. And so I can change the data as I key it in. I can actually tell it what visualization I want. Now, the fact that I did that, that's great. It allows me then I can actually keep this then and pin the visual to my dashboard. And I did this before the actual demo, and I'll show you where that resides. We're going to go back to the dashboard. And so I can key the data in, get what I want, and then here it is. I pinned it to the dashboard just to save a little bit of time. But anything from a report I can pin to a dashboard. Once I have data and visualizations on the dashboard, that's when I can come in and start using the natural language query. Okay, makes sense? Hopefully it does. I'm getting some head nods from the people in the room here that they're agreeing with me. One of the other things that I think is really important with Power BI, of course, is going to be the data. And when I come down here, you'll see on any of my pages here, whether I'm at the home page or in my workspace, there's a Get Data column or little segment down here. And hey, if you want more guidance, there's a tutorial for this. You can watch a video. So Microsoft is really great on being intuitive with the learning that you might need to do this. But when I click the Get Data, this is really my path to, number one, maybe I want to bring in new content. Maybe it's a file. Could be an Excel spreadsheet. But I click on that and it'll say, where do you want to get this data from? You want to get it locally, you want to get it in the cloud, and I can just pin down to a certain data source and import that into Power BI. I can connect Power BI to databases. And again, whether that's a SQL database, that could be my Business Central database or my CRM database in Azure. I can get and connect to that data. There are services that I can connect to. So when I click on that, it's going to bring up apps that have been created that are for a specific service. So let's say I'm a Zendesk user, okay? And I want to be able to use Power BI with Zendesk. Well, I start to key in Zen. Hey, there's an app for that. So Zendesk, for my admin, I click on that. It installs, it connects me with my Zendesk database, and I can go in and start creating reports and dashboards until the cows come home. So, and you can do this, you can have multiple connections, multiple databases, which I'm going to talk about that in just a second here. But I think this is important because, number one, it's really easy. You'll be amazed at what the content out there is for connecting and how easy it is to get it and bring it in. Now, it also could be stuff that my organization has created. So it could be reports that are already out there that I want to bring in for me to be able to use. And then, there's other ways to get data too. So there's organizational content packs. There's a partner showcase out there, and there's even samples that you can come in and use. And I use these samples in the course of when I'm doing demos and things like that. Excuse me, because they're really good. But let's take a look at that. And so maybe it's a customer profitability example, or maybe it's something with procurement that's going to go in and analyze, not only who or when or what I'm buying from my vendors, but it also delves into the QA of when I'm receiving those products. I've got an example of this that I brought down as a report that I'll show you. But the key here is we make it easy, Microsoft makes it easy to be able to use an existing report, customize it for your requirements, access any database out there, bring it in to be able to create your own visualizations, reports, dashboards with that. So there's a multitude of things to help you along in your journey with Power BI. Now, I talked about the procurement analysis report. So I did happen to bring that down. I just want to show you an example of, this is a sample report. It's got its own database connected to it, but you could connect this to your own database to get similar results. So here's a spend overview of what I've spent by month, by category, things like, how am I buying, who am I buying from is all there, and all data that you can drill into and look at. Another tab on the report for the discount analysis, where showing how my discounts are impacting my invoices. So that's an example of one of the sample reports that you can bring in. Now, you won't be able to create any kind of a dashboard or report without data. So the last thing I want to go in here is with the data sets. And this is a list of all data sets that I've got for reports that I've created. Now, the ones that they say Business Central, they happen to be accessing the actual Business Central data that I've got in my Azure demo tenant. But as I scroll down here to the one we've been using here, the K performance analysis, this is a data set that was based on data in Excel that I brought up. Now, you can see here, if I come over and I click on this and I say, yeah, you know what, I want to create a new report off this data set, or I could just come up here and say create. But let's come down here and say create a report. Excuse me. I want to show you an example of creating an extremely simple report with Power BI based on a database, and in this case, Excel, that I uploaded to Power BI. So as I open up the actual data source, these are all the fields that are there for me to access. So let's say that I want to create a report where cost, I want to see cost. So I'm going to click on cost. And over here on the column, there it added cost. Now, along with cost, I want to see gross margin is always important for me. I'm going to click on gross margin. And I think you get the picture here of what this is starting to do. Now, cost and gross margin don't mean a whole lot without the sales numbers. And so now I've added sales. Now, so this is great that I'm seeing what my total sales cost and gross margin are, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense if I can't tie it to who my customers are. So I'm going to click on the customer field as well. And now I've got it, I'll make it a little bit bigger here. But it started now to create a base report. It just picked out what it thought was a good visualization, broken down by each of my customers, their gross profit, their cost, their gross margin, and their sales numbers. Now I could get as fancy as I want. I could add date slicers in here and things like that, or other data. Or, hey, if I want to maybe change the look and feel, maybe I don't like, the column chart that is there. Maybe I want more of a stacked area chart for this. I can switch the visualization at any time and change it from the column to the stacked area, or any of these other visualizations that are there. And if I don't see one that I like, hey, I can import a custom one that either another developer or a community or the marketplace has created for me to bring in. So it is that easy to create a report on the fly. So I hope that kind of helps you understand a little bit about Power BI. Now, again, this information can be shared. I can create it for a mobile layout if I want. And so whether I want this to be resident on a phone or a tablet, I can map it in here that exact same way. Even if I come back to my workspace, I'm not going to save that, but let's go to a dashboard here. Let's go to our K question mark dashboard here. And if I want to see what that's going to look like in a mobile view and be able to publish that out, I simply say mobile view, and there is my dashboard rendering on what it would look like on a phone. So now, having all these reports and being able to access them on a phone or on your laptop is great, but where it really becomes powerful is the fact that you can connect this to your business apps. And so just to give you a quick example of that, if we come back and we take a look at the report for the performance analysis, and I bring that up, you're going to see there's the familiar pie chart, the graph, and things like that. But if I now go into Business Central, which it's Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, it could be GP, it could be CRM. This happens to be a role page for Business Central for a power user. But as I scroll down, I'm seeing a lot of nice tiles and some analytics and things like that. But as I continue to scroll down, there's Power BI. And that report is natively linked with Business Central and Power BI. And even if I hover over, you're seeing the same content that I would see in Power BI. And even from there, I can drill down. I can see the records that make up the data. So the power of Power BI is truly the access that you get across your organization for not only devices, but apps as well. So with that, I'm going to end my part of the presentation. I'm going to bring the PowerPoint up here for my colleague, Tim, to talk about a couple things with pricing.
Thanks, Pat. Yeah, well, I just want to real quickly just cover the fact that Power BI comes with basically two pricing models. There's an individual monthly per price user price of $9.99, as Power BI is a cloud solution, so that's $9.99 per month. And then for those organizations, the enterprise organizations that have a lot of users and want to be able to do possibly more and get more out of their Power BI, they can look at the Power BI Premium model, which is $5,000 primarily monthly, but that would cover a multitude of people, and it's more geared towards the enterprise type environment. So just wanted to cover that. If you have questions, or certainly we'd be more than happy to jump on a phone call and have that conversation with you. So if you just want to click to the next one there, Pat, great. So Pat mentioned in the beginning of the presentation that we will be sending out a survey after the webinar today, and we're going to be announcing here now just that we're coming up with a series of pre-configured Power BI solutions for our customers. They'll be available here shortly. Currently, we have 4 different ones: one for finance, a solution for sales, one for purchasing, and one for inventory. If you do fill out the survey and shoot it back to us, you'll be eligible for some discounting that we'll be talking about and giving you more information on here in the next couple of weeks regarding these packages and what kind of discount you could be getting on that. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. Keep an eye on your email for more information about these packages and about that discount. And with that, I think we'll turn it back over and see if we have any questions.
Thank you very much, Tim and Pat. We did have a couple questions come in during the presentation today. And just a reminder, if you'd like to submit any more, please use that control pane on your screen. Pat, I believe this question came through before you got into this portion of the presentation, but I just want to make sure that their question is appropriately answered here. This says, how does the data get into Power BI? Is that an API or a manual upload?
It can be either. What I showed today was an upload of an Excel spreadsheet database. But for instance, when I had a Business Central report out there, that is connecting via API to the Business Central database in Azure.
Perfect, thank you. Next question here is, what are the components of Power BI?
So the components of Power BI are going to consist of, at a minimum, a Windows desktop application called Power BI Desktop, an online SaaS or software as a service called Power BI Service, and then the Power BI mobile apps that you would download to a Windows device, an iOS, or an Android device. And these 3 elements, Power BI Desktop, the service, and the mobile apps, are designed to allow you to create, share, and consume business insights in the way that serves you and your role most effectively.
Okay, and this question here kind of goes along with that. What do I need to install to use Power BI?
Well, again, at a minimum, you can sign up to use the Power BI service for free to test out. You just need a web browser and a work email. So it can't be like a Gmail account or anything like that. You can download the Power BI mobile apps from the respective stores, like the App Store or whatever. And also that's free. So again, it'd be the App Store, Google Play, or the Windows Store to do that. Okay,
and which browsers does Power BI support?
So Power BI can run, obviously, a Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer 11. There are some features, though, in Internet Explorer 11, such as like the lineage view visual that IE 11 does not support. Excuse me. It supports Chrome, Safari, and Firefox.
Okay. And the last question we have today, kind of piggybacking on what Tim brought up, what is the difference between Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium?
So Power BI Pro would be an individual license that allows access to all the content and capabilities of the Power BI online service. You can share content and collaborate with other pro users. So you can create a report, and I could share it with Tim or Harmony, who are also Power BI Pro users. And only Power BI Pro users can publish content to workspaces or share dashboards and subscribe to others who have dashboards and reports. So you can't do that as a free user. You need the Power BI Pro to do that. Power BI Premium is really there, as Tim said, like on the enterprise level. It provides dedicated capacity to deliver more consistent performance to an enterprise level customer. It supports much larger data volumes in Power BI for individual users. Premium also enables widespread distribution of content by Power BI Pro users, and it doesn't require a per user license for recipients viewing the content.
Excellent. Another one just came in here. Are you able to connect with a Linux, forgive me if I incorrectly pronounce that, database?
I would assume the answer is yes, but I think John?
Sorry, I'll just jump in here maybe. That may depend more on the technology that's available on the sort of the outbound side of that. So if there's an OData or a RESTful API kind of way of accessing that data source, then I think the answer is definitely yes. But it's a good question, and I think we'll follow up to understand at a more detailed level.
Yeah, and John mentioned a great comment there about the OData and the REST APIs, which Power BI supports in full. So I would think the answer will be yes, but we will check that out, and we'll have Harmony send out an email to the group with the answer to that.
After the webinar. Excellent. Well, if there aren't any other questions this morning, we are going to end the webinar. Thank you again to everyone for taking the time to join us this morning. And as we said in the beginning of the presentation, this will be posted online on our Cargas.com blog. So if you'd like to follow up at any time with this presentation again, please look for it there. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.